Hello out there, you wonderful people. This is Andre, the game idea guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear listening into another Why You Know Game video from me. And this time I'm going to be talking about Mega Man X, the Elf Wars. Now, we didn't really know about the Elf Wars or even the, what was it, Elf Wars, and then there was the Dark Elf Wars. It was like, there were two wars that kind of bled into each other in the time between the Mega Man X series and the Mega Man Zero series. And unfortunately, Capcom has not given us any inkling as to what happened outside of like some of the game lore and some of the character interactions and conversations that you get throughout the Mega Man Zero series. And me personally, I'm one who's interested in seeing what it's like. Like, I'd like to know what happened because I know at one point during the Elf Wars, Zero left his what would presumably be his original body, the one that Surges worked on and fixed up after he blew himself up the first time. He left his original body and actually entered into what would be maybe not an identical body, but a similar body to his own. And throughout this time period, that's when Dr. Wheel showed up, and Omega was originally put in Zero's body to be basically the harbinger of death. And X and Zero took him out, and Zero at some point during this time put himself into hibernation. I was about to use the wrong word. But he put himself into a deep hibernation, basically hoping that he wouldn't be awakened or he wouldn't have to be awakened. But we all know how that happened. I mean, well, we all know what happened as opposed to him actually getting his eternal rest like he tried. He's like the Alucard of freaking Mega Man X series, I swear. But yeah, X and Zero took out a major threat, and X went on to lead basically Neo Arcadia. Then X even put himself to sleep in watch of the Mother Elf or the Dark Elf, depending on what form she's taking at that time. And then there was the Dr. CL, who is the one that wakes Zero up, made a copy of X, but the copy wasn't, him. Obviously, it had a lot of similarities to him, and it was very powerful and everything, but it wasn't actually X. It wasn't that character. Like that's a really philosophical question to wonder about. Like, if somebody actually made a full copy of you as a person, would that person be the same person as you? Chances are they wouldn't be, because they'd have to go on to have different experiences from you and stuff like that. But that's a deep philosophical thing that I'm not fully diving into. I was just covering the surface layer. I'm interested in seeing how these events played out. I want to know what happened to Axel, why he disappeared, how they got the armor, that became Albert, to whoever that character is, because that character is very similar to Axel. So it would lead me to believe that character was a new generation Reploid who probably took Axel's place at some point, which we know of Albert from the ZX series and stuff like that. But that's why I'm saying, a lot of all this lore in this particular section of the Mega Man storyline for the classic universe, it bleeds into a lot of other things that happen afterwards, and we don't know anything about really most of it. It's just like you get small little tidbits here and there, but there's not really like a whole lot of information given to you. It's just little bits that you can hang on to. And I personally want to know, what happened after they finally destroyed Sigma, and how did the Elf Wars start? Who is the Mother Elf? Because, I get the feeling that the Mother Elf is actually Iris from the X series, but I don't know for sure. It's just because of the Mega Man, I think was it X, not X3, 03? I think the 03 ending, no, it's the 02 ending. The Mega Man 02 ending kind of gives you the vibe that she knew Zero from a long time ago. And I looked at them like, well, what happened? That's where I'm like, there's so much stuff that we don't know. So many things that just never get answered. Like, what happened to Dynamo? Where did he disappear to? again, what happened to Axel? What became of that whole vibe that he got? That whole thing with him finally being able to, fully transform like a new generation Reploid instead of just being like able to do some transformations as the prototype. There's a lot of stuff that just never gets answered that I feel like they could flesh out and give us games that fit that storyline in that period of time that fit in between the X series and the Zero series. I mean, there would have to be like some really good developers out there that could do it, but there are people making games in very similar veins to Mega Man X and Mega Man Zero, and they're like on Steam, on PC and stuff right now, and you can go play them. So for me, looking at it, there's the opportunity that Capcom has to flesh this out, and they're not. And it's something I am dying to know about personally. Like as a like somebody who's followed the series, has been into lore and all that stuff. We don't. There's a lot of answers. There's a lot of questions that don't have concrete answers. You can only just like headcanon it and think about it and try to figure some things out. But I'm not going to drag this on too much longer, because like there's not a whole lot more I can really say. It's just like these are things that I'm really interested in, and I think Capcom would do well. I mean, yeah, go ahead and make an X9 because that needs to happen to kind of like put a cap on the series, and then go into what would be the Elf Wars and the Dark. I can't remember. It's like because the X series is the Maverick Wars. The Elf Wars takes place after that, and then there's another section that the Elf Wars kind of becomes, but it's been a while since I played the game, so I don't remember. But that's it. Thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me, and until the next time, please enjoy your games and peace out.